HTML image maps. Image maps are important because we can divide an image up and have different parts of the image be hotspots to allow us to jump from one place to another. Image maps can be made by just simply typing in the HTML commands, but that tends to be very difficult because you have to know the exact spot on the image where you want to make your hotspots. The best way to do it is get some graphic software such as PaintShop Pro, and that's what we'll be using. You can go to some websites. Different websites actually will allow you to upload a picture to their website, make an image map, and then download the HTML. Or last but not least, if you go to some of the free downloads, and you can Google image maps or image mappers, and you'll find a lot of free downloads you can get to do this same job. But we're going to be using PaintShop Pro to do this job for us. The first thing we have to look at is the map tag itself. It must have a begin and end. In between the begin and end tags, we have the area tags, which we'll get to in a minute. In the beginning map tag, right up in this region right here, right in there, we put a name and the name of our map. Now this is important because we have to refer to it later. So it's a space, it's an attribute put right in the map tag there. Okay? Now, the area tags have only a begin and then a lot of attributes tucked inside of each area tag. So, to take a look at this, we have three different types of areas. For example, we have the rectangle, R-E-C-T. And with the rectangle, we must specify an upper point, both X and Y coordinates, upper left corner, and the lower right corner, both X and Y coordinates. And that specifies our rectangle. We also have a circle, and for the circle we have to specify the center, both X and Y coordinate, and a radius. Those are numbers. And then we can make a polygon, the poly tag, the poly attribute. And we put all the points as they go around, the X and Y coordinates of each point, one after another, so on and so forth. The last point has to go over and be next to the first point, so that's the last thing we draw on there. A couple more tags in the area tags is the href. That tells us what web page we want to jump to when you click that hotspot, that area. And finally, a very important tag is the alt tag. That gives you an idea of the text of what that hotspot is. If you hover over that, text will pop up and tell you what that hotspot is. So you can type that in. You put some text in that quote. We now need to add two more tags to the image tag. I'm sorry, two more attributes to the image tag. The first one, border equals 0. Whenever you have something that's hypertext, especially pictures, it outlines it in a colorful border, and most of the time we don't want that. If we put border equals 0, that removes that problem. The second thing is use map. Now what use map does basically is you put use map in here as one of the attributes inside the image tag. You must use this number sign, because what does that say? That tells you that this reference following will be on the same page, maybe down further, maybe up further, doesn't matter, on the same page. And then you put the name of whatever you called your map back in the name part on the map. So this will give you your link to the map. This links the image to that map. We're going to go on next to a demonstration of how these hotspots work, and then I'll show you how to do them. Let me demonstrate some image maps in action now. Here is a web page with actually two pictures on it. This first picture, this white picture, has a rectangle and a square. I'm sorry, rectangle and a circle. Looks a little more ovoid just because of the way I've shaped the picture. If I come down to the other part, it has a picture, an actual photograph taken from the web, well actually a drawing, taken from the web of the internal structure of the White House. So let's start up here, and we're just going to take a look at this one. If I come onto the picture, I have my typical arrow, but as I cross one of the image mapped areas, it turns into a hand. And of course the alternate text comes up. If I click on this, it's going to jump to another web page in which I placed another picture. Okay, so I can move up here and go back. And now I'm back to my image map. Let's go over and hover over the dome for a minute. Again, alternate text comes up and the dome comes up. If I go to that one, there is a picture on this web page of, I believe this is the Capitol Dome. I don't remember exactly where this comes from, but I believe this comes from the Capitol building. And it's the dome in our nation's capital, in the legislature. Okay, let's go back again. Now, scrolling down to the next one, in this picture I've cut this up into many polygon regions. Those were the square and the circle demonstrated. I'm sorry, the rectangle and the circle demonstrated. And now we're going to take a look at the poly, because these rooms are all strangely shaped. If I move over here and get over top of this room, okay, which is the East Room, and of course now the alternate text comes up, East Room. If I click on that, there I see an internal picture of the East Room. I've got a web page with that picture on it. And I've had to produce these web pages ahead of time before I go into the image map system. I can come back, and let's see, where's another? Oh, I've got the State Dining Room. So if we didn't have the little green tags hovering over them, the alternate text would come up. And that's important to remember. Alt, A-L-T, is the tag, or the what we call the attribute of the tag, which will give this alternate text. State Dining Room looks like that in the White House. This is a tour of the White House, by the way. Here's the Blue Room, centrally located. And there's what it looks like. Nice blue carpet there. Going back again. Which one haven't we visited? Actually, this one, there's that one, Million Room. And there's some others, but I don't think we need to go through all of them. These could be next to each other. They could be odd shapes. They don't have to be rectangles, and we just work around. And in the next portion, I'm going to show you how to make these. I'd like to show you how I make these image maps. And there's a fairly simple way of doing this by using Paint Shop Pro and the Image Mapper. Now, I know first semester they went into the Image Mapper in the tutorials in Paint Shop Pro, and they showed you how to do color changes and rollovers, but this is slightly different. We're going to do this in a way to get the different areas on the picture to jump to different web pages. Previously, what I've done is I've set up a web page. As you can see here, I've got my different colors, my different pictures basically. Here's my main picture that I'm going to work with. Then I've gotten some other pictures that I've actually taken off there. I've got a clock, a TV, and over here a stove, and those I've taken off. And then what I did is down in this area I produced web pages with those particular pictures on them. Let me quickly bring up those web pages to give you an idea of just exactly what they look like. Let's take a look at the clock quickly here. If it comes up quickly, there it is. And to view the code on that, I'm going to view source. You'll see that the clock one simply has up here a head. I put a title in clock, and the body I made the background color yellow. I aligned the word clock in the center. Then I put the image in of the clock, and that was it. And I've got 3 web pages just very much like this. I'll go through the others quickly. Close this one. Let's bring up TV. I put a different color background on each one so you'll be able to see easily that we are at a different web page. And you need to embed your pictures in web pages before you do mappings, because the mappings are supposed to go to web pages, not pictures. and you want control where you're going to have that picture on the web page, rather than if you just bring up a picture. It will come up in some cases, in most cases, but you don't have much control over where that picture is going to appear on the web page. Alright, so now at this point I'm going to take and bring up Paint Shop Pro, and I'm going to place this kitchen picture in Paint Shop Pro. And so here's our Paint Shop Pro with our kitchen picture in it. And of course, if you hover over any of the items, here's our clock, here's our TV, and there's our stove, nothing happens. The pointer stays as an arrow. We now go up to the File menu, come down to Export, and go to Image Mapper. And we just export it into Image Mapper, and there it is. We have our picture again, as you can see here on the right. I'm going to start with the poly. The poly form I'm going to use on the stove because there's many twists and turns. And I come up, I just click the poly button up there, as you saw me do, and I'm going to click at each turn, and I move to the next one, and you'll notice it's kind of dragging a green line behind me, and that's where it's making the polygon, basically. And I can surround any shaped image this way. Curves, I just have to make more stops on is all. Go up to here. I'm going to go straight across. And you need to close this, so you need to get as close as you can to the beginning point and close it. There's my image. Now, what I wish to do is I wish to make it a stove. My HTML page is Stove HTML. I remember that name. So I'm going to start. I'm going to type stove.html. Okay. Now what's handy down here is this alternate text. The alternate text is what appears when you hover over it. So I'm just going to put the word stove in there. There we go. This is for whether you want it to jump up in a new web page, a separate web page, or in the parent web page, or on itself, or at the top. These are things when you get into what we call frames, or you can put it on a blank web page. So there's different controls. If you leave this blank, it takes care of itself. We don't have to worry about that. Now I'm getting ready. Let's go on to the TV. The TV is a rectangle shape, so I'll use a rectangle, and I just have to get up under this counter, hold down the mouse, and make a rectangle around the TV. And there I got the rectangle shape. Now that's under a web page called tv.html. And again, I can tab down now to the alternate text if I want to, and I'm just going to put TV on it. Okay. Let's go to the next and the last one, the clock. You go to the center of the circle you want to define, and I'm going to put it right about there, and then you go any direction you choose, and it surrounds it with a circle. And so there's my circle, and of course I want to do clock. And that would be CLOCK.html. That's what I call my web page. And again, if I tab down, I can go ahead and do clock. Looks pretty good. Now I'm going to save this web page. And this will actually save out into a web page. So I go Save, and it's in the same folder as I pulled the picture up in, which is nice. They have an HTML. That's perfectly all right. I'll use that. I'm going to call it Kitchen. KITCHEN. Okay. HTML. And it's going to be Hypertext Markup Language. As soon as I save it, it asks me to save the picture again. Kitchen JTED. Well, if you look up here, you'll see I already have a Kitchen JTED. That's okay. If you don't save it again, what happens is it doesn't put it in the web page, and you have to go back and edit your web page. So I'm going to save it again. Comes up with a message telling me, yeah, it's already there. Do you want to replace it? And I have to say yes to get it to actually place it into the web page. Alright, we're now ready to go. If you try and use this view of it, it doesn't seem to work. Not quite sure why, but there comes our web page up. There's our kitchen, not very fancy. And if I try to click on one of these things, watch what happens. The clock does not go to the clock. So let's just close this and close this. And I'm going to go back and bring up my folder again, and now you see we've got a kitchen HTM here. Let's bring it up, double click and bring it up. There it is, not very fancy, not a nice background or anything, but look, there's my hot point. If I jump to clock, bingo, it goes to my clock web page. Going back, if I jump to TV, there's the TV, and notice the hand comes over, and if I leave it there for a second, there's my little alternate text. Click on it, and sure enough, the TV comes up. Back, and there's my stove. Leave it there, alternate text. Click on it, and sure enough, my stove comes up. But this web page leaves a lot to be desired. Let's spruce it up a little bit. View, source. There it is. First of all, note it puts some meta tags in here, and these are meta tags that standardly come with a number of web pages. You know what? I'm taking them out. You notice Paint Shop Pro advertises itself on the meta tag. How nice. Title. Gee, I'm going to call it Kitchen. And now let's come down to the body and let's give it a tan background. BG color equals quote tan. And let's see now, what else do I need to do here? Oh, it would be nice if we centered that image. Well, they supplied me space nicely. So, let's see. I'm going to close it, and now, just to make life quicker, Control C, Control V, paste. And I'll just slip a slash in the front here. Okay. I want to point out while we're here exactly what we did. First of all, we have an image we named Kitchen 0. That's just a name put on it, used mainly in frames. And when we get into frames, you'll understand more of the naming of these things. However, the JPEG, the source is Kitchen JPEG, and that came about when we saved it the second time. There'd be nothing in there otherwise. You got a height and a width, defaults to the size of the picture, no border around it, and here's the important part. Use map, and it's got a number sign and the name of our map. Let's see, I can't go that over there, but that's the name of the map. And the name of the map is right here, folks. Take a look at this. Here we go. Name of map right there. Do you see that? Map name kitchen. Notice they used the pound sign like we did in internal links. That's letting it know it's on the same page. Now let's take a look at this area. We've got a poly, okay, right there. We've got a rectangle, and we've got a circle. And although we can't go out and see it, but the poly is just a set of ordered pair. Here's one point, here's the next point, so on and so forth. Individual points, and eventually this one will link back to the first point here. Comes right back to there. Now, the coordinates of a rectangle, you only need the upper left and the lower right on the screen. And of course it links then to TV HTML, and there's your alternate text, Alt. So if you have to edit these things, you can go in and edit them then. The coordinates of a circle, however, are the coordinates of the center and then the radius of the circle. So that's how you edit those. Clock HTML is where it goes to, alternate text clock. All right, with that in mind, let's save that. It helps to get on the right screen to do that, doesn't it? I'm going to close this. I'm going to refresh this. There it is, nice and centered with a tan background. And of course, there's the clock. If I click on it, it jumps to the clock one, and I can come back.